So thank you very much again, and good morning, everyone. So I heard it was a very long night for some of us. I went to bed quite early, but I hope I'm even better prepared for you today. So I want to pick up everyone, no matter where you're standing, how much you know, and also because of the long night. So let's start very soft and low with the technique, and then it will be more and more technical towards the end of the presentation. So let's crack into it. My name is Robin Hillman. I'm Senior Communications and Events Manager for NGVA Europe. What is NGVA Europe? We are the Natural and Biogas Vehicle Associations, and we are in Brussels. We represent all our members towards the EU institutions. Let's call it advocacy. It's very simple, but a very important fact. All legislation that you have in Germany or in any other European countries is made in Brussels. Brussels law, European law always stands over national law. So of course, if we want to change something, if we want to work on legislation, it's always in Brussels. We have members from the whole gas chain. We have everything from upstream, midstream. We have truck operators like with 5 trucks, but we also have like the real big names that own hundreds of stations. But let's just go into it. I have 20 slides, 15 minutes, let's go. And let's have some fun. This is where we have to go. We have to go. We have to reduce emissions in Europe. There's no other way around. This is what the big plan, the overall plan for everything, for every sector. But of course, what I do, what we do, the NGVA, we talk about transport. It's 2030. We have to reduce emissions by 55%. And in 2050, carbon neutral. Actually, in transport, it's already in 2035. What does 100% mean? It means a de facto ban of ICEs, internal combustion engines. Okay, boom, that's heavy. But let's not panic, because we have some options. Let's have fun. You need a new vehicle. Where do you go? In Germany, we call it Autohaus. You go to the car dealership and you say, okay, we have to reduce emissions. I need a new car. I have a family. What options do I have? So you go to the car dealer. That's me, but with hair. You tell him, hey, what options do I have? And he says, no problem, I got you. Look into my catalog. So he shows you a car. So that's a pretty cool car. It's orange from one of the big German OEMs. And he says, check out this car. And you say, and you look into the small numbers in the catalog, and you say, oh, 172 grams per kilometer. That's a lot of CO2. What else do you got? And he tells you, also no problem. Check out this one. It's not exactly the same, but it drives some CNG. It's a very nice car. It's white. 99 grams, you check it out and you say, ooh, it's still a lot. Okay, what else do you got? And he says, guess what? 0. This car, 0 emissions. It's full electric. Awesome. It has no tailpipe. And then you look at the 3 cars, they're kind of identical. So, hey, what's wrong here? And if something wouldn't be wrong, I wouldn't be standing here. Because what if I would told you that something like this is also happening? So what's the difference? There's no tailpipe. And of course, we're at gas conference. It's about the fuel. Everything is about the fuel. And this is the problem we have. People see a car without a tailpipe and they think 0. Is it true? We can all together say no, but it's early. Okay, so let's show you our new study. Frontier Economics made a study for us. So what you see here, and they nicely said it, we only look at the tailpipe. And it's called, obviously, tailpipe emissions. So what we're missing is the manufacturing. We miss the energy sources. We miss infrastructure and the end of life. You find the study on our website. There's also a very long explanation video on YouTube from Frontier Economics, where they showed all the little details in the study, because we don't have time, obviously. So what's the big plus? We saw this already yesterday very impressively, and there was a very good question. What is the cost of CO2? What is the cost, or how much CO2 can I reduce for €1? And exactly this is the step forward that this study did, because we're looking at exactly where is it coming from. From the infrastructure, energy sources, manufacturing, everything together would be LCA, life cycle analysis, but we also only want to look at this, of course, because this makes it really comparably. So let's dive into it. The problem again, only tailpipe. We only measure the tailpipe. What does it mean? Car with no tailpipe, 0. We have gasoline, CNG, we have CBM, it's 100% biomethane, compressed biomethane. And here we have a mix of compressed biomethane and natural gas. It's 40-60, like 40% biomethane, 60% natural gas. Why did we decide to put this into the study? Because the thought was back then that the Green Deal wants us to go minus 55%, and exactly with this mix, we are already minus 55% with a CNG car. Okay, next step. We are looking into well-to-wheel. Tank-to-wheel means you look at the tailpipe, what's in the tank, how much do you have when the car is on the street? Well-to-tank, and this is exactly the dimension that is always missing. Well-to-tank is the fuel into the tank, and if you sum it up, of course, we have well-to-wheel. So let's look very quickly into the results. And because we don't have time, let's focus on the red bars. You see, of course, gasoline is a lot of emissions, so to say, this is the benchmark. CNG still has some emissions, but the key, and this is the whole point, and this is what people unfortunately miss, no matter Germany, what other country, or Brussels, is we can even reach negative emissions with 100% biomethane. Here, even with a mix, we're not doing so bad. Interesting, suddenly the battery electric vehicle showing emissions. Next. And here we go into exactly what I said and what the big pluses of the study. We look into all the manufacturing emissions. We look into the emissions of the development of the infrastructure or the infrastructure itself, the whole deal. And suddenly, battery electric vehicle has got a lot of emissions, and it's super comparable even with a mix, and biomethane still doing very well. Now, how much carbon can I abate with this technology? And this is the big point, the highlight of the study. So here you see emissions abated relative to gasoline. Gasoline is the baseline. So a lot of emissions abated with 100% biomethane. And then kind of the same with a mix and a battery electric vehicle. Here we look at the cost premium relative to gasoline. Battery electric is very expensive. Biomethane, and maybe you don't even know this better than I, is quite expensive. So what are the results? And this is very easy in this case for cars. We will go into trucks next. Battery electric carbon abatement is very expensive. CNG also, because simply does not reduce so many emissions, whereas 100% biomethane, even though it's so expensive, we can have a lot of emissions or bucks for the money or whatever you want to say. So there's that's number one. So let's talk about trucks. So again, no time, so let's dive straight into it. We look into the dark red, the purple graph. Here, of course, the baseline is diesel trucks, drive with diesel. This is a 40-ton truck. Emissions. LNG has, even at the tailpipe, less emissions than a diesel truck. Again, negative emissions with 100% biomethane. And here we go into the colors of hydrogen. This is no big surprise, I guess. Gray hydrogen has a ton of emissions, blue, green. Let's go forward. And here, this is a little bit trickier than with the cars. LNG is negative cost abatement costs. Why is this? Because LNG is cheaper than diesel. See this here on the left. And even though it's cheaper than diesel, we save some emissions, again, even at the tailpipe. Therefore, it's negative. Why is gray hydrogen so high? Very easy, because you have no abated emissions, and it's very costly, and it's actually even capped. And what do we learn here? Very simple. Biomethane or LNG, bio-LNG, no matter what wicks, is absolutely competitive to all the other fuels, obviously. And even though, as again, liquid biomethane 100% is expensive, you get a lot for your money. So that's the first stage of this presentation. We've seen that, so don't want to go into the full detail. There are three main points that I want to tell you. Trucks, vehicles, all the vehicles are available. We have a vehicle catalog on our website. We have 60 different vehicles there. Quite interesting, check it out. We don't convert anymore. We don't change engines. We don't configure anymore. All these vehicles are there and available. All the infrastructure is there. I will show you the fueling stations in a second, and we have seen it also yesterday. I think some of you are even better experts than I am. And then again, fuel supply and all the fuels are there. Very quickly, overview of all the estimations, what all the different studies. We have Eurogas, we have SERE, we have Delft study. What does it show and why do I show this to you? Because when I tell everyone biomethane is the future, we can fuel all our cars with biomethane. The never-ending question is, okay, but do we have enough biomethane? And exactly this is the answer. It's there. If the market demands it, we have it. Okay, this is our website, so ngva.eu. Click on the stations map, and then you can see every day, it's updated every day, all the European stations. These are obviously CNG stations. We just passed 4,000 stations. I think we're even at 4,100 CNG stations. And the LNG station infrastructure is like, let's call it, it's huge at the moment. Like the rate in which this is growing is insane. I checked our map. Within 50-kilometer radius of Weimar, we have 20 CNG stations. Actually, the CNG station in Weimar is 100% biomethane. So it's actually there. Very important. This is Europe at the moment. We have an average of 17% of biomethane in Europe, and this is status 2020. So I can tell you, for example, that now today in Germany, we have already 80% of all the stations, the CNG stations already deliver biomethane. So it's really there. We will update it soon. Okay. To come to an end, and I can talk about this forever and we can discuss about this forever. This is our idea. This is what we can or should, or we will discuss in the parliament, because the commission published a Green Deal. Now it's on the parliament to talk about it, and we can talk about amendments, and we can of course bring in our ideas. So what can we do? The commission does not want well-to-wheel. Why do they not want this? We had this excellent presentation yesterday about the Renewable Energy Directive. And on the other hand, we have the EU fleet target regulation. Let's call it crash course. Renewable Energy Directive wants more biomethane. EU fleet target regulation, less emissions. And then we had this keyword also yesterday, double counting. What does this mean? If we introduce some kind of well-to-wheel, Commission says, you will touch upon both files. And this is not how it should work, the European Commission. You can decide for yourself now if this makes sense or not. Nevertheless, of course, we have to work with that. If an OEM does not fulfill the target going lower with their emissions, they pay hundreds of millions of euros. I think in 2021, 2022, all OEMs will have to pay around 20 billion euros just in penalties. So the idea, I give you 5 seconds to breathe and check this out. So the idea is that the OEM buys, and this is the keyword, additional credits. So they buy basically this green fuel credits, no matter what fuel it is. And with this, they can lower the fleet targets. They will pay lower penalties. What do they do with this money? It goes to the fuel supplier, and they create additional volumes of biomethane. This is, as I said, where again the market comes in. If we ask for it, the fuel supplier, maybe you will supply it. And that would be exactly against the double counting. And in the end, and this is the key, the consumer would profit out of this, because of course we will lower emissions much faster. We will higher the rate of biomethane or all the other biofuels on a very higher level, and everything will happen much faster, no matter when and how. We have a ton of benefits, but I want to invite you to check out this website. It's brand new, it just came out last week, where you can see basically this whole idea again with all the details. It's a very, very brand new. You're basically the first one who get to know about it. It's not even really public yet. Don't tell anyone about it, but yeah, check it out. Okay, this is my presentation, but what I would like you to take and what you can do is think about, is a zero emission vehicle really zero? Where is my fuel coming from? Is it 100% green? And then when you talk to other people, ask them this question. When you talk to politicians, when you're in discussions, when you make your own decision about your vehicle, always think about this, please. Thank you very much.